Alright, so in order to show the entire fight, I'm basically going to go chapter by chapter, and I'm not going to use the supernova fight like the 5v2 or the 3v1 with Law, Zoro, and Luffy. I won't count that. Kaido has been fighting for about 30 chapters up to this point, so I'm only going to count the 1v1. Kaido is also lifting an entire island right now, and some people say that takes no effort, but it clearly does because Momonosuke is not able to do it easily, so that obviously shows there is a level of experience and there's a level of skill and strength that you just have to be able to do it. Alright, so Luffy starts fighting Kaido in chapter 10:10, and he fights for a while, but by the end of chapter 10:13, Kaido kicks him off the island, and that's where he falls into the ocean. So we have to wait for Law to save him, and this is where Luffy first goes down during the 1v1. And this was after Luffy acquired Advanced Conqueror's Haki, and this is basically Luffy's second power-up. And at this point in the story, Luffy was the strongest out of all 5 supernova. But then from chapter 10:14 to 10:25, Yamato took Luffy's place, and she held off Kaido for longer than Luffy just did. So for the people who are telling me that Yamato is not stronger than Law or Kid, she was quite literally stronger than Luffy for a moment during this fight. In 10:21, we see Luffy recharging after Law and his crew saved him for the ocean, and finally in 10:25, he makes it back to the top, riding on Momonosuke's back, and we see Yamato and Luffy have a combined attack on Kaido. Okay, so at this point in the story, Luffy has definitely become more powerful than Yamato, and as we're about to see, something I've noticed during this fight is that every time Luffy gets back up, he seems to get more powerful and more durable. Momo and Yamato leave the area, and Kaido and Luffy finally get back to fighting. And can I just say, base form Luffy versus Kaido is probably the best fight in all of Wano. When I saw Luffy fighting Kaido in base form, that might have been like the most raw thing I've ever seen Luffy do. That shit was crazy. Now we get to chapter 10:36, and we see Luffy hit Kaido with a rock gun, and they both seem to be around an even level of power-ish, except now Kaido's about to start using his drunk techniques, and this is when we realize Kaido in the beginning of Wano was actually not weak from alcohol, because it seems that Kaido actually gets more versatile when he drinks and fights at the same time. So we see Kaido slam Luffy with a drunk Ragnarok, and then he quickly transforms into full transformation, and it seems like when he's drunk he can also slip into his different modes more freely. That also goes to show Kaido has been holding back for a lot of the fight. Kaido really is still superior to Luffy. It's clear to see. Luffy is keeping up, don't get me wrong, he's doing damage, but it's very easy to see that Kaido is still not really taking him seriously. Alright, so right now Kaido is crying while fighting, and I think Kaido might need a therapist or something, but that's not my judgment to make. This is probably the funniest part of the chapter. Kaido gets mad after the headbutt because it's making him sober up. We can see Kaido tell us that he was about to hit that good buzz, and I feel you, bro. I know that exact feeling, so I really do feel bad for Kaido in this moment. Alright, so in 10:41, we see Kaido and Luffy still going at it, and Kaido has just realized that Big Mom has lost her fight, and Luffy realized it as well. Kaido is, going a little bit berserk because he starts reminiscing about Big Mom in the past, and, it's good to see that Kaido and Big Mom have this, sometimes they hate each other, but sometimes they actually do care for each other, so that's a good relationship to see out of Kaido. We see Luffy using Gear Force Snake Man Hydra, which seems to be a much faster version of Snake Man, and it has Conqueror's coating on it, and Kaido seems to not be able to dodge it. So he started to use Future Sight, and this is a big revelation that went over a lot of people's heads. Kaido has Future Sight. Kaido has been tanking attacks since the start of Wano, and he went against the Supernova and he decided to tank their attacks. And now with Luffy, he only just now decided to use Future Sight. This means a lot of the damage that Kaido has taken could have easily been avoided if he just used Future Sight, but Kaido, being the tank man that he is, he decided not to do that, because as we know, Kaido likes testing people's strength. He lives for fighting. Kaido really has not been trying a majority of this time in Wano. He really has not, until he got serious with Luffy, which we're about to see. We also get to see one of Kaido's drunk modes called Drunken Thief, and he's basically stealing Luffy's techniques and using them to dodge. So even in dragon form, he can become very nimble and agile, and Kaido eats Luffy and blasts him all the way to the bottom of the island, and Luffy bounces back out with a bound man. It really does go to show how powerful Advanced Conqueror's Haki is. Every time Luffy has gotten knocked down, he came back stronger. Because as you can tell, Luffy right now, he's doing the good damage against Kaido, and he's not really changing his Devil Fruit. Right now in the story, his Devil Fruit has not changed. It's just Advanced Conqueror's Haki on top of his Ryo. So it really does go to show the importance of Haki. Every time Luffy comes back to fight, he's getting stronger. And every time he comes back, Kaido is getting weaker and weaker. So it really does go to show, while Luffy is getting stronger, Kaido is getting weaker. Okay, so this part of the fight causes some controversy. There was a CP0 interference, and some people think Luffy would have won this exchange, but it's literally not possible. Kaido hit Luffy, and he was instantly knocked out. None of Luffy's attacks have ever knocked out Kaido. So that means if they had clashed, likely Kaido would not have got knocked out and Luffy still would have got knocked out, because as we see, when he got hit, he got knocked out. Another reason is that after this, Luffy gets into Gear 5 and he fights Kaido again. Kaido still has a lot of stamina left, unlike Luffy, who literally just got knocked out. So this was Luffy's last attack. Kaido still has a lot more in him, as we're about to see. Kaido should have killed Luffy, but as we know, Kaido doesn't kill his opponents like that. He likes to break their will, and I guess he felt a little bit embarrassed because the CP0 agent interfered in the fight. So Kaido goes downstairs to rampage on the floor a little bit, and by the end of this chapter, we see Zunisha telling Momonosuke that Joy Boy has arrived, and we see Luffy awakening his fruit. So we all put the pieces together. We knew Luffy was Joy Boy in that moment. All right, in chapter 1044, there is one thing I want to go over with the Gorosei speaking. A lot of people seem to think Luffy's awakening is overpowered, but it's literally not overpowered in the slightest. The Gorosei did not say it was the strongest. They said it's the most ridiculous, and this is due to the freedom you get when using the awakening. There is so much you can do with the power of rubber and imagination. So people heard them say you can do anything up to your imagination, and people started thinking about planet busting and galaxy busting and just, you know, tearing apart the fabric of reality. Like, people took it way too far. He's not about to start opening dimensions with rubber. No, it's imagination, but it's still limited to rubber. It's not like he got new powers. He still is just rubber. But anyways, the real battle is about to begin. Luffy drags Kaido from the live floor to the rooftop with a giant rubber hand, and Kaido's eyes pop out of his head, and this is the first time we start to see Luffy doing all the Looney Tunes stuff. And so Luffy begins to slam Kaido's body, and he even turned the ground into rubber and deflected a Bora breath right back into Kaido's face. And this is the first time we start to see Luffy's incredible powers, right? And Kaido still seems to be completely fine after the barrage of attacks, and that is because Kaido is the most durable character in the show. So even with Luffy's Looney Tunes awakening, it still might not win the fight. Luffy begins to let out another barrage of attacks on Kaido, and he turns Kaido's body into rubber. He even turns into a giant, and he is actually bigger than Kaido, even in dragon form. So Kaido tries to bite him, but Luffy has other plans, and this is when Luffy decides to grab Kaido and use him as a jump rope, and this is probably the best part of the whole Gear 5 fight. This was hilarious the first time I read it. Luffy really grabbed this dude Kaido and like used him as a jump rope. This is the strongest creature among all living things, by the way. He just grabbed him, used him as a jump rope, so that's pretty funny. But again, some fans see the spectacles and they start to analyze the battle based on cool points. This does not mean Luffy is dominating Kaido, because once again, right after this attack, Kaido grabs Luffy and at point blank range uses a Bora breath right in Luffy's face, and Luffy is visibly injured, and it clearly did damage. So another bad argument I've been hearing is that Luffy doesn't have any weaknesses anymore. This is not true. Luffy still has his weaknesses. He's just gotten a lot stronger, so he can withstand a lot more, but the weaknesses are still there. He has become a lot more durable, but it does not make him. And another thing is, Kaido is still more durable than Luffy. That's really not debatable. You don't need advanced Haki to injure Luffy, but when it comes to Kaido, unless you have advanced Conqueror's Haki or advanced Ryo, you will not have a chance of defeating Kaido. And this is made very clear because even Luffy with his own Ryo said his attacks were too shallow, and that is still not it. This is not the way to defeat Kaido. Even Luffy himself knows this. Out of all the Supernova, Luffy had the most effective attacks, so without a highly trained use of advanced Ryo or advanced Conquerors, you will never have a chance of beating Kaido in a 1v1. Haki transcends all. Roger was living proof, same with Shanks and Rayleigh. Haki is the key to being the strongest. The Devil Fruit can definitely help, but Haki is the most important factor. But back to the fight. After the Bora breath, Luffy started running on air in order to attack Kaido, but Kaido easily counters and slams Luffy's head all the way to the bottom of Onigashima. Luffy lifts his head back up and Luffy starts to lose his power. So another thing I've been seeing is that Gear 5 dominated Kaido. That is not true at all. Kaido never had a chance to take a break. Luffy is having another chance to take another break right now, and he's literally losing power in Gear 5. So Gear 5 was not dominating Kaido and is not invincible. But anyway, Luffy restarts his heart, which is a pretty broken ability, by the way. Like, we don't talk about that enough in the community. Luffy literally restarted his heart. That's pretty insane. Anyways, Kaido doesn't really care. He starts bashing Luffy right in the head, and Luffy's body begins to morph into the shape of the weapon he's being hit with. However, it is clear that Luffy is still taking damage, but he is absorbing some of the impact as he gets hit. So Luffy gets hit in the head and he turns into a marshmallow shaped creature, and then he immediately bounces his body back to normal. And this is a great example of how resilient Luffy's body now is. Gear 5 has given Luffy so much control over his powers, and that is really the main focus of Gear 5. It's the control and the freedom you have with your rubber abilities. Kaido goes as far as to say Luffy is an extremely versatile fighter, and he explains that Luffy is using both Armament Haki and Conqueror's Haki at the same time. And this is where Luffy proceeds to literally punch a hole through Kaido's head. Now I want everyone to realize how powerful Luffy has become. Kaido is the most durable character in the show, and Luffy just punched a hole through his head. This is much more impressive than Akainu, because Akainu didn't even go through Whitebeard's entire head. Secondly, Whitebeard is not as durable as Kaido. And third, Akainu is made of magma. Luffy did this with only strength. This is sheer strength, sheer willpower. Also, it shows that Kaido is way more durable than Marineford Whitebeard, which I don't think I have to explain, but some fans believe that Marineford Whitebeard is stronger than everyone else in the series, which is just not true. After getting a hole in his head, Kaido was perfectly fine, unlike Whitebeard, who was not fine. Whitebeard literally was not good. Like, his head did not heal. He was missing half a head. So the fight continues, and Luffy and Kaido are throwing a barrage of attacks at each other. And towards the end of the chapter, Luffy grabs a lightning bolt, and for the people who were around when this chapter dropped, the One Piece community went crazy. It made people think Luffy was about to win, and then literally on the first page of the next chapter, Kaido laughs and dodges the lightning bolt. And this is proof that sometimes the One Piece community is way too reactionary, and people make assumptions based on one panel of one chapter, and it's the smallest thing ever. Like, Luffy's attack was very cool. This is a cool ass attack, don't get me wrong, but like, people thought this meant the fight was over. Kaido literally dodged it like it was nothing. Like, Luffy is fighting a Yonko. This is not some random pirate. Another thing people don't seem to understand is that in Kaido's introduction, it said he can't be killed through regular means, unlike Roger and Whitebeard, who were killed through regular means. People assume Kaido's Devil Fruit is the only reason, but it's only a small part of the reason he's so strong. We learn in Kaido's flashback that he would purposely let the Navy capture him in order to get a good lunch. So this is probably where they try to execute him, because who else in the world makes public executions? Nobody besides the world government. We know that Kaido was executed or sentenced to death 40 times, right? And obviously it was the world government. So the government couldn't do it. And obviously, if he was in the world government's possession with his Devil Fruit, they would have put Sea Prism cuffs on. It's not that his Devil Fruit was protecting him. Kaido was just that durable. And secondly, we also know that in the flashback, Kaido did not have his Devil Fruit yet. So if Kaido really was getting sentenced to death inside of those marine chambers, then they couldn't kill him just because of his Oni race. It was not because of his Devil Fruit. So a lot of Kaido's durability is not just from his Devil Fruit. His Devil Fruit does add another layer of durability as well, though, but he was extra durable even without the Devil Fruit. We can see from his childhood, he was really good at war. He never had like battle scars or anything. He just went into war as a 10-year-old kid, and he was just destroying things. We see him walking out of like this huge ass explosion. He has no Devil Fruit yet, right? And this is probably why Rocks recruited him, because Kaido was already super durable. Like, Rocks recruited him without the fish fruit. So he saw Kaido and he was like, yeah, this guy's different. And he was like, I bet I'm gonna recruit him. And we also know Kaido was a dominant force on the Rocks Pirates, because it literally says that in the Road to Laugh-Tale. So Oda himself basically confirmed, yeah, Kaido was like, he was an apprentice, don't get me wrong. He was definitely an apprentice, so he probably was not as strong as his commanders, but he was close. He was close to their strength, you know, and he was young. So now Kaido probably is the strongest character in the series right now, but that's just my opinion. It depends how you see it. But anyways, back to the fight. So Kaido easily dodges the lightning bolt, and he hits Luffy and tells him to stop playing games. And he goes as far as to tell Luffy that Haki transcends all, and that Devil Fruit powers are not enough to conquer the world. All right, so the fight's coming to a close. Kaido smacks Luffy up to the sky, and Luffy grabs onto Kaido's chest so that he can prepare his next attack and that Kaido can't dodge. Kaido attacks Luffy with the wind slashes, and we see Luffy's skin getting cut. So again, to show that Luffy still has weaknesses, slashes and cuts still affect Luffy, and these are not Haki cuts. These are just wind slashes. So it is not that because Haki is imbued in them. Slashes and cuts still affect Luffy. By the end of this chapter, Luffy is prepared to attack Kaido with an island-sized fist, and for the next couple of chapters, Luffy and Kaido kind of just sit there in the sky clashing. Chapter 1048, we get to see Kaido has another power-up called Flaming Drum Dragon. So once again, it shows us that Kaido has been holding back this entire time. He decided not to use this ability to the very last moment. His body is literally burning so hot that he's melting the stone horns of Onigashima. We've seen Kaido use some of his full transformation abilities inside of his hybrid form. So I'm willing to bet that Kaido was able to use Flaming Drum Dragon in his hybrid form. Right? He just decided not to use it. For what reason? I don't know. Kaido does have an affinity for extreme heat. So for the Akainu fans, I really don't think Akainu's Devil Fruit would do that much damage to Kaido. I do still think it would be effective, because magma is obviously hotter than fire, or at least in the One Piece universe it is. I would expect Akainu's magma to be hotter than Kaido. I just don't think it would be that effective, because Kaido doesn't seem to be that affected by extreme heat. All right, so now Luffy wraps his fist in advanced Rio and advanced conquers Haki. Then he slams Kaido all the way down to the bottom of the volcanic core of Mount Fuji, and that was the end of the fight. Luffy and Kaido have both passed out, and Luffy had finally been declared the victor. So that was the entire Luffy vs Kaido 1v1, and remember, this is just counting the 1v1. Kaido fought 13 other people besides Luffy. He was lifting an entire island, and he was holding back for like a lot of the fight until like the very last moments of the fight, right? And I'm not gonna say Luffy doesn't deserve the win. Luffy definitely deserves the win because Luffy, he put in the work, he got the power-ups, he definitely did reach Kaido's level by the time that fight was over. I just don't think he surpassed Kaido just yet. I still think if Luffy had Gear 5 since the beginning of the fight, he still would have lost in the long term. But you guys let me know what you guys think in the comments. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.